Cast. I am going to kind of go off topic a little bit, but not really, because we're always talking about dogs and cats, so I won't be that far off the topic. But I did dedicate this time a little bit for people who are gearing up to go to this great event that we have coming up called Redefining Health. And so I thought I would bring a couple of the vendors on that are going to be flying out, going to be here. They're going to be speaking with you. They're going to be roaming around the halls, talking to you about their products, but not just their products. And I thought it was really important for you guys all to know how passionate they are and how educated they are about pet nutrition and pet health. It's not just a product that they're trying to sell you. I wanted to bring in so much people that if you didn't get a chance to speak to one of the speakers, you could speak to one of the vendors and they would be just as knowledgeable. So I want to introduce you tonight, who I have with me. We do have lots of vendors who are going to be here, but tonight I have with me Ruby from Real Dog Box. Ruby, hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then on the bottom of your screen, we have Sean Zier. He's here from Earth Buddy. Hi, Sean. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. No, thank you guys for kind of going along this journey with me. You know, it was probably about 4 years ago when I decided to put together a pet expo, and I generally jump in feet first without thinking. It's kind of how I've always been. And so I had never put an expo together, but I know so much about animals, been around the pet industry for 37 years. But for you guys to trust me and come on board and be a part of this has just been a blessing. So I just can't wait to share your story. So if you don't mind, I'm going to start with you, Ruby. Can you share a little bit? And before we get going, if you guys have any questions, you can definitely ask us, but definitely let them share their stories with you, because I think you're going to be so amazed at really the group of people that we put together and the knowledge that you guys have. So Ruby, share a little bit about how Real Dog Box got started. Like how did you get involved in doing this?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, what you're doing is great, and I know it's a huge undertaking that you've just put your heart and soul into. So thank you for bringing us all together.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'm very excited to come up there and tell you guys in person my story. But yeah, we started 7 years ago. I was actually in the legal field for 15 years before jumping off of the corporate ladder and deciding to make dog food. I didn't grow up with a dog, but my partner, he had dogs his entire life, and his dog had gotten cancer. And unfortunately, that's probably a familiar story that you hear over and over for a lot of people that are in the industry. And we switched him to a raw diet. He was given 6 months to live. And, you know, when you get that sort of diagnosis, you're like, what do we do? You know, he was 12 years old. He'd been living on home cooked food and a mix of kibble for the majority of his life. And I don't know why, you know, like I was approaching my 30s at that time, wanting to be in the best shape of my life, finally making better diet decisions, because that's what you have to do when you start approaching 30s, you know, stuff changes. And one day we just found out about a raw diet for dogs, and we're like, no carbs. Sounds like the paleo diet. That's what I'm doing too. Yeah. And we switched him, and it was just overnight. Like he just went from this old, grumpy dog who really didn't seem like he had a reason to go on. And we changed his food, and he was this newfound puppy just running around. I remember I was holding a chicken quarter, and he was chasing after me down the street.
Oh my God.
And my mother-in-law.
Wait, down the street?
Down the street.
Oh, please tell me someone did they have Ring back there? Does anybody have video?
This was a long before, and the cell phone quality was terrible. I remember my mother-in-law turning and looking at us with tears in her eyes, saying she hadn't seen him move like that in months. And we knew we had something going for us, but I was still working full time. My partner was working for the federal government. And we were like, is there a service that does this? You know, like raw food delivered? There maybe were a handful. There's a ton now, but there were a handful back when we were starting. And we were like, no, we couldn't find anywhere. And my mother-in-law was like, I don't have time. She's also owns her own business. And we were like, well, we need to start a business. We need to start a way where we can help people feed real food, where it isn't complicated. Because I remember I have all the books from when I first started here in my office library. It was so overwhelming just to get started.
Yeah.
So we quit our jobs.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Drove from Washington, D.C. to San Diego. We got here and we're like, we're going to make raw food. That's what we're going to do. We started pricing a few things out, realizing no one's going to buy this product. It is far too expensive. We were just so early, at that time. This industry has changed significantly, but we've got a long way to go. Anyway, no one was going to buy our product because it was too expensive. So we're like, what do? We took the ingredients of our raw food and started drying them separately. We built our own air drying system so we could keep it as minimally processed as possible. And we said, we're going to make a treat and chew box because we want people to feed variety, introduce them to different animal body parts, get them to remember where their food comes from.
Yeah.
And here we are 7 years later. We've got so many different products now available as our, in addition to our treat and chew box. And we have just built our own nutrition certification course, both for the vet professionals and for dog parents. So we've come a long way, but that is in a nutshell how we got here.
No, but it's so amazing because that's what drives the passion that keeps you going, that gets you to quit your job. Like, how scary is that to have to quit such a, an attorney. I'm just going to quit. I'm going to go make dog food. Like, people must have thought you were insane.
Oh, they did. My mom was like, I'm sorry, you don't even have a dog.
Right? Like, that's what I think is so amazing about the group of people that are going to be at this event, because you don't have to have a dog to see the results that are night and day. And that's why I love this community so much, because it is so result driven. It isn't, a lot of times we're where's the science and where's the this and where's the that, and we get inundated with that and people want to call us out on it. But result driven, time and time and time and over and over and over and over and over again. And we so needed something like what you're doing, where maybe it's not the whole thing, but the little pieces that you can add. And that's one of the things I want this expo to be about, is we're not expecting anybody to do all or nothing, right? Sometimes it's a little of this and a little of that, and the understanding of it and how all of you guys come together. And I think people who are coming to the expo are going to realize this. And I'm going to have Sean speak in a little bit, because everybody that's there, it's a little bit of each, everything. I mean, we have a company coming that does acupuncture, and it's each little thing that's just gonna be amazing. I'm so excited. I just can't believe it's right around the corner. So Sean, tell us a little bit about your company. I know your story. I love the story. And as you guys are listening to Sean speak, understand how nutrition is only one part of our little puzzle. And so when we pulled in Ruby and we pulled in Sean and we pull in all of these vendors, we're setting your dog up, which is why we called it Redefining Health, because we're setting your dog up from the moment he's born all the way up into his senior days. And so Sean, let's hear a little bit about your story. It's a great story, you guys.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. You can hear me okay, right?
Yeah, we can. We can. Hi, everybody, too. As you're coming in, sorry I didn't get a chance to say that. Hi, Chloe. I'm excited, everybody, for you guys to hear these stories and meet these people. So, yeah, Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well, just like Ruby said, that you're doing this. We need more of these where we can actually get in front and show them kind of the whole holistic toolbox that we have to offer. And we're happy to be a very small part of that. So if we can help in any way, I mean, we're all for these kinds of events. And they're few and far between, and I had the pleasure of meeting Ruby last week, and I knew I liked her already, but she tells her story, and it's very parallel to mine in a lot of ways. We started 7 years ago, and for the simple reason that I had adopted a dog named Kiva, and she was from a family member, so it's kind of like a given pet. And we got her, and she was suffering from seizures, cluster seizures to be specific, and was on tons of pharmaceuticals. She was a gas station kibble girl. The family that I had gotten her from, they just didn't know better. As most of us,
Right.
you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so we got her, and my background was in the pet industry. So I've worked for major pet food brands and major pet distributors. So I knew kind of a lot about nutrition and what I like and what I didn't like. And at this point, I didn't know how long I would have Kiva. I assumed I would have her for maybe a month or two because it was that bad. She was emaciated, having 20 plus seizure episodes a day. And I said, let's feed her raw. So shout out to Ruby for that.
Yeah.
Let's get her on raw right away. That was our first step. And then in Colorado, where we're based out of, you're always 1 degree separate from cannabis.
Yep.
So I knew 2 scientists that were growing small crop organic hemp and knew more about the cannabis plant than any 2 people I've ever met. So at the time, there wasn't a lot of CBD for pet products specifically. And I said, hey guys, I don't trust anything that's out there. I think a lot of it is coming from overseas. I think, we can help Kiva quite a bit if we can incorporate this into her diet. And, we started using their product, just a very simple tincture. And immediately we saw changes within the first month. We were able to help her with seizures. Adding other supplements like goat's milk and these raw, organ meats and things like that, I think really did make a huge difference. I think diet is like the pinnacle of how we help, these health issues. But we really were able to kind of complete this whole holistic plan by adding in a cannabis product. Because we saw those changes so rapidly, we knew there was something there, but we're like, okay, what is even allowed? I mean, like Ruby, people look at you like you're going to make a cannabis product just for animals, a CBD product to be specific, but you're going to make that just for animals and you're going to start a company. Like people looked at me just as crazy as I'm sure you got looks, Ruby, but, I knew that it was helping, and I knew that there was studies coming out on people. And now you see, fast forward, there's a lot of studies for pets, which is great. And we always need more. But we ended up keeping Kiva around another 1.5 years. And so throughout that process, we were able to partner with our farm and our 2 scientists. And we were able to formulate and, really add in a bunch of other functional ingredients that we use with Kiva and my other dogs that I have now, and that I have since, lost to things like cancer and stuff like that. We've incorporated functional mushrooms, and we're doing stuff that is pretty unique to us. We just recently launched a glutathione product. There's other parts of the cannabis plant that we've launched. We really don't limit ourselves to one molecule or one product. We really think about our own pets. And I think that's kind of, people like Ruby and I come at it from that. We're not, singular in our focus of what we do. And we don't really look at Earth Buddy as a just CBD product. We're more of like a functional ingredient, supplement support product that, we can fill in some gaps, hopefully, or add some quality of life to a pet that's already jumping on this path to, feeding better food, getting better medical care, you name it. We can fit a gap in that product.
Yeah. So I know, Sean, I met you in Chicago. We were at a huge convention in Chicago for Dogs Naturally magazine. And one of the reasons why, as I was putting together this expo, I was particular about who I wanted to bring in. Ruby knows because I kind of met you through the expo. And at first I was like, well, I don't know. Would I feed this to my dog? Like, I'm very serious about the people that I chose to put in this expo. Every single person there I feed or have fed and have seen results with my own animals, not just my own animals, but as most people know who follow me, I see 60 to 70 dogs a day. So I have this huge group of animals that use Sean's products that now I have people using Ruby's products. My own dogs love your products. So I was very excited to see that. But there's a lot of challenges, right, for you guys when you were putting this together. And Ruby, I'll ask both of you guys, in the beginning stages of putting together, what were some of the hardest challenges for you when you were, I mean, you're 7 years in, you guys are still considered an infancy, although you know so much. I know I'm going to backpedal a little bit, but one of the reasons why is because you guys are traveling and learning as well. Sean, I know you learned so much at that Dogs Naturally magazine. It was a 3 days. We were inundated. So it's not just about your product, but you guys are learning so much about this industry and animals, whether you have them or don't have them. So what were some of your challenges in the beginning? Or you're still in the beginning? You're still early.
Yeah.
For me, it's the educational component. Something that we really saw with especially at the AHVMA conference just last week, is that there's a way that we have been taught to feed ourselves and feed our pets. And we have to sort of unlearn that. We have to go back and unlearn and relearn a new way of living a healthier lifestyle. And for this even goes for myself. I didn't have the best diet or lifestyle when I was in my 20s. And then you learn real quick, like, whoa, something's got to change.
Yeah.
And I had to relearn that early on. Unfortunately, when it comes to our dogs and cats, what we're finding is it's kind of secondary. It's not something that a lot of us have put as the priority on how we want to take care of our animals. So that educational piece, which is, why should I feed different food? Why should I eat different food? What are all these things I should even consider before bringing home a dog? That entire set of research and things that you should be thinking about, those questions when we were starting weren't being asked. And so if you aren't thinking about preventative wellness, why would you even consider eating or feeding a different type of food? So getting past that hurdle alone was huge. And so we had to spend a lot of time educating our consumers and just saying, look, this is why a processed food might not be in the best interest of living a long life. This is why you want to start feeding variety in your dog's bowl and not the same thing over and over every day. So that piece is really what carried us to where we are now, and has allowed us to encourage others and empower them to invest in their own knowledge. Don't just take my word for it. Go out, do your own research, ask other people questions, not just me, and feel confident in the decisions that you're making, because they're educated decisions.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important. I know it's really hard for people now to think about getting up off the couch and walking away from Zoom, which is so ironic since we're doing this live on Facebook for me to say this. But I know the challenges we're feeling getting back out there. But it is important, because if we get everybody under one roof, it's not just what I love. I just went to a huge wellness conference I was in British Columbia. That's where I was looking at mushrooms and doing a bunch of stuff. And we all discussed, it was interesting. We would listen to these classes, and then when the person was done speaking and walked away, we would all be like, well, what did you think? And what did you think? And then it became this collective knowledge sharing of what we thought and what we got out of it. And that, to me, is the missing element when you listen to someone speak through Zoom, because you shut your computer, you walk away, and you're like, that was good. That was interesting. But you're missing that element. So I just think it's great. And you were just at, what conference were you at?
We were at the AHVMA, the American Holistic Veterinary Conference.
Okay. So for those of you guys who are listening, that is huge. That's where all of the holistic veterinarians are going. And that's what I want you to know about the vendors, because when you come to this expo, I don't want you to think that, they're just trying to sell me something. Ruby just spent an entire weekend with holistic veterinarians, listening to them speak and educating herself on more than just the food she's selling. So these vendors are also there to help educate you in any way possible. So Sean, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced in the beginning. I know CBD just exploded, and everybody, I mean, you could, at one point I was joking, and it was kind of maybe not so much a joke, that you could buy it at 7-Eleven, and it just was kind of crazy, and people were getting it, and then they were frustrated that it wasn't working. So gosh, there had to be a lot of challenges for you in the beginning.
Yeah, no, and the challenges haven't changed too much. You know, the bottom line is everybody and their mother is making it. So there's a real gap in understanding what a quality product is. So education, exactly the way Ruby was saying, is like, we can't put enough information out there because educating people is so important. I think because there's so much of it out, I think, you know, people have kind of been, you know, CBD'd to death. And the one thing that I really took away from the expo was that there's a lot of products out there. There's a lot of good ones. There's, you know, there's a lot of bad actors too, of course, in any industry. But the main point I tried to make, and was reaffirmed at the AHVMA, was that nobody's CBD is CBD-er. It's one molecule. And, you know, understanding, you know, where our products come from in terms of how they're grown, how they're processed. And us being a vertically integrated company, we've really tried to get ourselves out there and educate on that process, because we are so close to our plants. And this goes in line with diet, I think, too, is like, we are so detached from our food sources and where they're actually coming from and how they're processed. I think we offer and you know, are still challenged with the fact that we are really trying to pound the drum of like, we are in direct contact with our plants. We work on the cultivation of those. We know our seed genetics. We know how they're pulled out of the ground, how they're processed once they get out of the ground. Because CBD is so vast and sold everywhere, the connection from the brand to the actual product is a lot of times a big gap and not very well explained. So that's one thing that I take pride in, because we can explain that level of detail that not every pet parent may not want. But when it came to Kiva, you know, who was epileptic, and I don't know what was going to help her or what can actually make it worse. And then, you know, I just lost a dog last year to cancer. And as you guys know, it's the worst thing to go through. I really felt comfortable with what I was giving him. Obviously, you know, we did some traditional things for him, but at some point, because pets age so fast, they age rapidly and they go through all the things we do. I want to make sure that what I'm giving them is as well sourced as possible. And I think a lot of pet parents nowadays are getting more interested in that. And that's kind of where the education starts, beyond just, you know, how CBD works and who's got the best, you know, hemp product or whatever. We're really focused on like, let's start at sourcing, number one, because if you don't know where it's from, how do you know what actually is involved in that product and what it took to make that? So that's been a big challenge for us, competing in a sea of brands, but we're happy to educate as much as possible. We've done so much work on our site, you know, somewhat similar to Ruby's. I definitely would like to work on something a little bit more advanced, but we have so much information on our site that can help you get started. But when it comes to using a cannabis product, yeah, it's definitely about researching, you know, the sourcing, how it's processed, you know, if the company is actually making it, you know, all those things factor in, just like food. So
So Sean, I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I started, because I hate to fly, I hate to fly. You don't want to be on a plane with me. It's embarrassing. So to test your product, because I took some back with me from Chicago, I took it on the flight, which kind of was dumb, right? Like, I never took it before. I'm going to take it on this flight. I trusted you so much that I was like, you know what? I'm going to test this myself and see if I have any effect. Because one of the complaints my clients always have is, oh, I tried CBD. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. It had no effect on my dog. You know, and then they'll bring in this clear liquid stuff that smells like chocolate. And I'm like, well, I don't think that that's even CBD anymore. But anyway, I tested your product myself on the flight from Chicago to Santa Ana, and it worked. And that was it for me. I said, okay, now I got to see how it's going to be with the dogs. My poor dogs are always my tester dogs before my clients' dogs get involved. And so then I kind of gave it to my dogs to see if I saw any weird reactions or no reactions. So it was really great. But that's how I found out. That's how I do a lot of the products. So for you guys that don't know, my dogs are usually the testers, or myself is the testers. Although, Ruby, I'm sorry, I have not eaten one of your dog's rabbit ears yet, but my dogs have. I wish I could say yeah. And then when I met you, I ate one of those rabbit ears.
Well, Carrie,
No,
I just want to jump in. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
that's
I
okay.
just wanted to jump in because what you're talking about is safety, and that is a huge concern, and that that coincides with sourcing for us, and a lot of times in a new category, whether it's raw feeding or a hemp product, how they test that product and how it's set up to show that it's going to be safe for your animal is really important. And one thing that in terms of challenges in Colorado, we are actually required by our health department to test our products a certain way.
Awesome.
And again, with hemp being so widespread and all over the place, the testing protocols are kind of all over the place too.
Yeah.
And it's something I've recently been talking about quite a bit. But, thankfully, we have a forward-thinking state here in cannabis and various other products. And it's really nice because now we have some direction on how a product is supposed to be tested. And really in the beginning, there was no direction whatsoever. So we have done a lot to not only share our lab results online, but also just make sure that we're testing, due to the health department's protocols, because we have to do it that way. So again, safety is like number one.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, I am so sorry to hear that you hate flying because girl, I feel you. It's the worst feeling ever. It's so embarrassing. One little bump and I'm like, people next to me. But I don't think Sean can say that, like, he doesn't sell it to humans. I'm just saying I tried it. It worked for me. That's just me. But I know Sean can't, like, it's not a human thing. I know that Ruby's going to have to leave us pretty soon. But Ruby, before you have to jump off, I'm sure you're going to be educating yourself more on pet stuff. Tell us a little bit about, if you could just really quickly, it's 5:28, tell us what you hope to gain yourself from this expo and what you hope to be able to educate people about at the expo. I know that's two questions, but.
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit earlier when you said that there's been a disconnect, especially, unfortunately, during COVID. I feel like we were robbed of that community and the interpersonal connection that makes us humans the way we are, that allows us to share information and really build trust. And just coming back from the AHVMA conference, I met Dr. Barry Sands there, who won Holistic Veterinarian of the Year. And just to find out, she's right in our backyard. So literally a stone's throw from my house. Awesome. And I think what you're doing by bringing all of us like-minded people, and, Sean said earlier, it's not just food. It's not just wellness. It's not just activity. There's all these different pieces that come with preventative wellness. And by bringing all of us together, I mean, that's kind of what defines holistic, right? Being in the same room with a lot of people who are like-minded, forward-thinking, and considering all these different pieces that are involved in our pet's wellness. I am so excited to be with all of you. Like, I cannot wait. I'm bursting at the seams for that. And I know that I don't know it all. Every person I speak to is an opportunity for me to learn something. So to know that I'm going to be in a room filled with so many educated people who want to learn from each other, I am so excited to bring that back to our community and talk about everything that I've learned while I'm there.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Ruby, you haven't met, but look down on your screen. This is Lourdes Biancardi, and she is with the Orange County Animal Wellness Center. So she's going to be there talking a lot about acupuncture and some of the things. Lourdes, this is Ruby. She's with Real Dogs. She's down in San Diego. She makes some amazing foods for animals that are raw, and she's going to be leaving us because she told me she had to leave at 5:30. So we're going to go ahead and let her go, and then we're going to talk a little bit with you, Lourdes, okay?
Okay.
Nice meeting you, Lourdes. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks,
See you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
And sorry,
that's okay. So as I was saying, this is Lourdes. She is with the Orange County Animal Wellness Center, and she's going to be also one of our vendors. And so tell us a little bit about about the Wellness Center.
Yes. So, can you shut that door? We're located in Costa Mesa. Been open now for about 2 years. So actually for 2 years in August. We do integrate acupuncture, chiropractic, ozone therapy, laser. We do physical. We're the only center here in Orange County that has an indoor heated swimming pool, from a healthy young puppy to a paralyzed dog. We do also ozone therapy as well. So Dr. practitioner as well. So she's one of our 3 doctors. That's for about a year now. So
Yeah.
we're growing and we're adding services as we grow and learning and meeting lots of wonderful people and pets.
Yeah.
So
with us is Sean Zier. Sean, this is Lourdes. You guys are going to be meeting. Sean is with a company called Earth Buddy, and he has this amazing CBD, and he does a lot with mushrooms and scientifically putting it together. So
I remember the podcast. I listened to it.
You did? Oh, good. So Sean will be there. Yeah, it's gonna be really good. So Janelle had a question, Sean, actually for you. She says she owns 2 raw fed dogs. One has seasonal allergies. Our pollen is bad now. She said, can CBD help with all of the constant itching? What do you think?
Yeah, so this is great, and I would love to hear Lourdes's opinion on this as well. But the really cool thing that we've done is we don't just do a CBD product for allergies specifically. We actually have this a couple comprehensive products that we've found to work really well for allergies, and it's really just about what method of administration. So we give you a couple options. They all work really good. The first of which that I've found just through the research and through what we've seen in our pets, because we've been using it for so long for our own pets, is our functional mushroom and CBD product that is in a powder form. And it's by far the most effective when it comes to like seasonal allergies that I've seen. The really cool thing about allergies is or mushrooms, I should say, is that they have this kind of antihistamine effect without the typical drowsiness and harsh side effects that I sometimes see in some allergy meds.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
like Benadryl just dopes them up and puts them in the corner.
Say,
that's all right. I said it for you.
That's what we always were told to give our pets when they had those itchy scratchies and those weird allergy symptoms. Functional mushrooms don't work like a pharmaceutical drug, though, and I got to be very clear like that. That's not what their point is. They are an adaptogenic value, so meaning they're going to handle the body's stress and allow them to react to that more naturally, as opposed to a drug that's a chemical pharmaceutical that's going to kind of go in and be a little bit more aggressive. I find that with a few days of use, the mushrooms really have a great benefit and them tolerating the allergies a lot better. But then on the other side, the hemp that's in that product, we think of inflammatory responses. That really helps kind of that really inflamed process. If, I get allergies and my face like blows up and I'm stuffy, and especially with the seasonal changes right now, I feel like that combo is something that we were the first to do. And now we see a lot of products out there with that, both human and pet. So that's our number one. The other one that we really like is our Colostrum Powder. Colostrum does something a little bit different mechanistically, but basically we're creating a good environment in the gut. So we're creating an immune response in the gut with colostrum, and that's going to balance the good and bad bacteria. So when they have their immune response with allergies, they're able to tolerate it a little bit better as well. So both dietary and environmental, I really like the colostrum.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Lourdes, when people bring dogs into, do they use acupuncture for allergies or anything at your facility? Have you seen that?
Yeah, and ozone therapy is great for that.
Yeah.
So if we have allergies, other therapy that we can offer.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
This is why this expo, as we're putting it together, I want people, as some of the vendors are coming on, if we get some more vendors on, I told them we'd be here for an hour trying to get everybody in, is you'll start to see how it's all going to work together. There's just this flow that's going to take you throughout the expo that's going to work really well. And also what I think is great too, for those of you who are listening, and I feel sorry for those that cannot come, I get it, but there's going to be samples. Every single bag has samples from each one of the vendors that are coming. So it's also great. You know, that's the other reason why I want people to get up off the couch and get to these expos, because a lot of expos, you gotta, you know, some expos, there's one in LA, and I'm not dissing it whatsoever, but this is a very specific expo. It is only organic, naturally sourced kind of situations. I didn't put together just anybody who wanted to be a vendor. So it's very specific. So in your bags, all of your samples, you don't have to go home and open up your sample bag and be like, well, I didn't get a chance to talk to this vendor. I wonder if I can give this to my dog, because it has been something that has been researched to death in order to be sourced and great. So it's going to be just some great samples that are going to be in there. So she says, which do you like? I don't know. Lifer? I don't, that's probably not what she means. Nancy, if you can write that out again. I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, or maybe it's something I don't understand. Any of you guys, I don't know. So Lourdes, I was asking Ruby earlier, I'm going to ask you, is this your first, I mean, your place is just so amazing, but I don't know if you go to a lot of expos. Is this the first expo you've done?
Yeah, actually there's for a lot of them in October that I'm going to attending. So this is going to be the first one in October that a wellness center of OC. So yeah, I'm super. And I've been talking about, like, even today I had two people like, oh my gosh, I want to go. So hopefully as we get closer to, I think that we'll see more people signing up. And I mean, definitely there's an interest. So
yeah. And we're really trying to design it in a way that, you know, it's not just about nutrition. People keep thinking we're just doing just about nutrition, but there's so much more. Sean knows this, like, and Lourdes, you know this, there's so much more. You can take an animal, you know, I've had people accuse me of saying that if you feed your dog a raw diet, he won't get cancer. Well, that we know is not what we're trying to do, but we're trying to support your dogs and your cats in the best way that we can. So it's important. She says, do you like kefir for dogs? I do personally love kefir for dogs. I think it depends on your dog, whether he likes it and how he deals with it. But I could ask you that, Sean. Have you given your dog kefir, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, that's more of like a probiotic value, and it's definitely something that we love. I think anytime you can do like unprocessed raw ingredients like that, the better. You know, with all of our stuff, we're not handling raw, you know, refrigerated products. So all of our stuff is going to be more of a supplemental and like scoopable standpoint. But kefir is awesome. And, you know, it's good for us. It's good for pets. And, you know, the more natural ingredients we can incorporate that are, you know, very low process, the better. And they respond better to that. We've seen that with so many different products.
Yeah, it's interesting because Billy Hookman always talks about, Billy Hookman's a nutritionist for Green Juju. They also will be at the event. And Billy always says, people will ask, you know, well, in the wild, animals don't get probiotics, but the reality is they do. They get a lot of soil-based bacteria that we need to replace back into their guts. And so that's why something like a kefir or raw goat's milk or soil-based probiotics, those things are really, really important to our animals. So we have to replace what they're not getting in nature, and they do get that stuff. So it is important. But Lourdes, what are you hoping to gain, you know, from doing an expo, from coming together with a bunch of people? What are you hoping for yourself to learn, and what do you hope you can teach people?
I hope, I mean, I can't wait to learn and hear all the valuable information about that day. And, you know, there's so many people that, you know, customer patients that come here that want this information. So I want to be able to, I'm not going to have enough knowledge to, you know, talk about mushrooms, talk about, you know, the benefits and so forth. So, you know, I know, have some knowledge, but, you know, being that I've been doing this for a couple of years, but more on the other hand of the rehab side, nutrition and supplements. And so I'm excited to learn and be information to our patients that come here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited for people. I know that the wellness center of Orange County, the animal wellness center, what they do is a very local kind of thing, because you have to bring your dog there, and my dogs go there to swim. So Nevada and Ansel swim in their pool, and that's where they get their exercise, not because they're injured, but because they get to swim there. But I do want people to realize, if you're coming in from out of the area, these are things that might be available to you in your area. So you need to learn about the ability. If you have an animal who's got joint problems and they want to come in and they have an underwater treadmill. So there's so much valuable stuff out there for our animals that we just, I just can't wait to bring you guys all together and show people what is available to their animals. Because that's how you got started, right, Lourdes? You couldn't find something that was available that she needed for her animal. And
Right.
so just like you got to do it yourself sometimes. Yeah.
Animal lovers and, in Orange County, and here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. Sean, what are you hoping to get from it yourself, though? Because these things are not just about us educating people. I'm going to learn so much at this expo. I cannot tell you how excited I am to listen to these speakers. But what do you think, Sean? What are you thinking, you need to get out of this?
Well, I think that's the same attitude I have. One of the things coming out of the Holistic Vet Conference was we were very lucky to be in front of the world's leading thinkers in these categories, and herbalists and different veterinarians. So I learned a ton there, not only just from the vets and the various practitioners, but I learned a lot from the other vendors. I think that's a huge benefit that these kind of micro events have, is you can really get to know where products are coming from, the people behind them. I think that's very rare too. Sometimes we just try products because we heard an ingredient's good, but when you can actually meet the founders of companies like Ruby and myself, right, I think that goes such a long way, because then you see the true passion behind the people doing
Absolutely.
the things. And it's not just, a bunch of suits, trying to sell product. It's really like, hey, everything we do was because we had a pet that had an issue that we can help with. So I can almost guarantee you every other vendor that's not here is going to be on that same page, and it's really exciting. And I'm so happy you did it. So I can't wait to see everybody.
Yeah. It's our first year. So fingers crossed, everybody. I have plans and hopes to continue this on the West Coast, because for Lourdes, I know you're very new coming into this industry, but for someone like Sean and myself, we've been around a long time. We haven't had this on the West Coast. And so somebody had to finally be the person to stick 2 feet in. And I guess it was me, where I just said, let's just do it, because sometimes it's really hard to fly all the way to New York or all the way to Chicago and then put the money in and invest in it. And it's just a lot. So we know we needed it on the West Coast. I'm hoping that we can continue to do this year after year after year. Maybe we'll get it up to a 2-day event or 3-day like they had in Chicago. That was amazing. I don't know that I have it in me. I'm getting old to put a 3-day event together. One day's been tough, but it's so exciting to see how excited we all are. We started planning this actually 4 years ago, was the first spark that came into my head to do this. And then I started working on it, and then COVID hit and it set us back. So, and here we are, we're 2 weeks away, pretty much. I think it's less than 2 weeks. I don't know. October 1st. And it's going to be a day of just so much fun, education. And Dr. Barry Sands, I did not know this. I can't wait. I'm going to be talking here tomorrow night. We're going to be bringing in all the speakers, doing something similar to this. I can't believe she just won Best Holistic Veterinarian of the Year. And she's going to be one of our speakers. God, are we blessed? Like I'm blessed to have her there. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So anything else you guys want to share with them? Any new stuff? And what's going on, Lourdes, with the Wellness Center? It's how many years now? 3?
It
2?
No, it was 2 years in
2 years.
In 2 years in
Awesome.
August. It was a project that was 6+ years in the making. Be here and offer these services to Orange County, because as you know, there's really all like this here. So
no, there's nothing.
We're still growing. People are still, and we have a lot of happy customers and patients. And it always humbles me, because we meet such amazing, love their pets just like we do and want to do the best for their pets, and they want to know more. Question earlier, I'm so excited to learn and be able to share this information tell here. So
yeah, that's why it's so important to have the right vendors. I've gone to these, I've been working in the industry for 37 years now, and I've been to so many expos and so much stuff. And sometimes I go and it's all about sales. And all they want to do is sell you a product. And the guy behind the product really doesn't know how it's made. He wasn't involved in the sourcing. He wasn't involved in building out the pool, right? He wasn't involved in hiring the staff. He wasn't involved in all of that. He didn't have the dog that died from cancer or injured his leg. And so it becomes very salesy. And so when I put this together, it was really about bringing in the people who were passionate about what they did. And so that's why I think this is going to be such a special expo, because that passion is going to be flowing throughout the entire event, whether you're listening to a speaker or you're going to the bathroom or you're getting a cup of coffee. The guy next to you or the girl next to you or the person next to you is going to be someone who's passionate, educated, and willing to talk to you about anything with your animals. So I'm really excited. Lourdes, one question for you. We're not going to keep everybody too long, but do you guys do cats? That's the big question I get.
Of course we do. We do cats that come in that we offer. And believe it or not, we had a cat swimming in our pool, 18 swims, and the cat was absolutely amazing. And his name was Sebastian, for some physical therapy. And the doctor said, he's such a chill cat. Let's see if there's some movement in that, right front leg. And sure enough, we put him in him, and he set the bar for any cat that will ever swim. Amazing. He was amazing. He wore a life jacket, and then after maybe we took the jacket off halfway, and he swam. He's on our Instagram page. You'll see some videos. He was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
We had a cat.
I think I saw that video.
Underwater. Yeah. So it was great. And we had a cat recently that's here underwater treadmill. But yes, we do plenty of cats. They come in for acupuncture and and ozone. So yeah.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to let you go, but thank you so much for joining us and kind of talking about the expo. Continue to keep talking about, continue to keep sharing. The more we do, the more people we get together. What I love about it is that an event like this, if I just do this online, if I go on Zoom, I close my laptop and I get a little excited and it feels good and I listen to something and then I might tell one or two people. But when you walk away from an expo, you walk away and you want to tell everybody, because that energy is so amazing that it follows you for weeks on end. The one in Chicago that we did, Sean, I was talking about that. I still talk about it to this day. I'm like, that was the most amazing expo. It was 3 days. I learned so much. It was what drove me to do my own expo here on the West Coast, because I knew a lot of my clients couldn't afford to fly to Chicago. But that's what I love about this expo, is that it's not just what you're not just buying a ticket to learn yourself. You're going to now tell 10, 15, 20, 30 people all of the stuff that you learned. And then that is just going to flood. My dream and hope is that one day animals are living a holistic life, and that they are as holistic as they can be, because I think that's what nature wants for them. And we took them off that road and down a bad, bumpy road. We need to get them back. So, but I'm excited, guys. I'm going to see you on October 1st. So it's very, very exciting. I am going to go ahead and let you go. Sean, any last words?
No, I think the one word that comes to mind is you get this empowerment. And I think anytime you're starting down this road of doing more natural or holistic things for your pet, what a cool opportunity to have so many vendors that are dedicated to this actual topic to kind of start down that path. And it's overwhelming. And Ruby mentioned that in the beginning, where to start. I think you're going to have more than enough resources at this event. And I just can't wait to meet all the new pet owners and the other vendors, so I can learn from them too. So thank you for having me. And can't wait to see everybody.
Yep. Lourdes, any last minute things?
Yeah, no, same thing. I'm super excited and meet everybody that's going to be involved. And thank you, Carrie, for including us together. And I hope you're growing, and I hope you can keep doing it.
Yeah, me too. All right, you guys, well, take care. I will see you Friday night. What is that, the 31st? Yeah,
Yes.
I'll see you guys Friday the 31st. So take care, you guys. Good night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.